guys, welcome to a brand new episode of I Am Latoya Renee. If you are new here, welcome. If you've been here before, hey y'all, today we are going to do a quick little update on my rental property woes.
Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Still not understanding.
All right, guys. So y'all know I had a tenant. He was phenomenal. Paid for his year up front. Everything went well. He moved out when he was supposed to, which was June 30th. And then the process for me was to get my property management company to make any repairs, clean up, do all the things, and get it back on the market. So we did that, right? It took about a month, but we got everything done. So by the end of August, the property was back on the market. And we listed it at the exact same rate that my previous tenant had been paying. And so I was hopeful that everything was going to go smoothly, get a tenant rather quickly. The previous times that I've leased this property out, I had a tenant, like truly like solidified a tenant within the first week of it being on the market. The first time, the person moved in that week. The second time, the guy moved in the same day. The guy that just moved out on June 30th, he saw the property. It was a Friday morning. He saw the property, put in his application, did all the things he needed to do, was moving in that night. And so the previous two tenants moved in really quick, like I stated, and things went well. We are now about to enter October, and I still do not have a tenant. So what we have done during that time that it's been vacant is gradually decrease the rent, offered incentives like if you move in by mid-month, you get half off your first month's rent, things like that. We've done all types of things to try to make this property look more appealing. In the interim, though, I myself have looked around to try to see what's going on in the market and everything, because this property is nowhere near where I live. So I don't have my finger on like the pulse of what's going on in the area as well as I do where I live. And so I did a deep dive to figure out what's going on in the market, and I noticed that not only are homes not selling and they're sitting on the market for long periods of time, but also rental properties, particularly single family homes and townhomes, are sitting on the market for a lot longer than what I'm accustomed to seeing. And a lot of them, or a good chunk of them, are offering different incentives like we did, where, half off first month's rent, or $500 off first month's rent, or a reduced deposit, just different things to make their property stand out and be a little bit more attractive over others. And so I'm like, crap, it's not just me. Like, this is a legit problem within the town that my property's in. So this may not go as smoothly as I'd like. And so I've been kind of like in my head and just thinking about the financial aspect of it for me, because who's paying the mortgage in the interim? Me. Who's paying the utilities in the interim? Me. Who's paying the HOA and property tax? All those things. Me. And at this point, it's been July, August, September. And we're about to go into October. Now, I think if I remember correctly, July, I did not pay the mortgage. I think I still have monies left over from the previous tenant, but I definitely paid out of pocket for August, September, and about to be October. And that's not ideal, right? Right? That's automatically putting this year at a loss as far as this property, as a business, and from a tax standpoint, it's already a loss. And not to mention the thousands of dollars that I had to put into the property once it became vacant to get it ready to roll. So it's kind of had me a little like on edge because, obviously I'm starting school. I started school today, actually, and just various other things. Y'all know I've been sick on and off. The medical bills are coming in literally every day, I feel like. And so I'm like, okay, this is becoming a bit too much. And so thoughts have come into my head about possibly selling, because when I crunch the numbers over the last few years that I've had this rental, it's definitely been a loss. I've definitely not made any money. In the grand scheme of things, I've not made any money. Now, the benefit that I will say that I have been fortunate enough to achieve from having this rental, and I think most property owners, rental property owners will say this too, is that you may not make money during the actual process of the business taking place, because this is a business, right? But if you decide to go and sell this property later, you'll have made all your money and then some, hopefully a lot more than what you actually put into it. And I mean, I could sell my property today and recoup everything and then some, and tackle some of my own personal debt and all these different things, right? Be set up quite nicely. Would I like to do that? No, because that wasn't the plan. The plan was to keep the property for a few more years and hopefully generate enough equity that I would be able to buy a property that I could use as a short-term rental, Airbnb it out. Ideally in a more touristy, more recreational based area. My rental is in definitely a residential 9-to-5 worker area, but close to lots of shopping and things like that. So that's why it's pretty attractive. And it's, I guess you could say luxury in the sense that it's, got, the granite countertops, and just some nice amenities, custom cabinets, custom closets, custom shelving in the garage. It's got a sunroom, or I don't know if you call, no, it's not a sunroom. It's like a screened-in patio. So it has different things that a lot of the properties around it do not have. And so, yeah, I don't want to sell it for multiple reasons. It's not completely a no for me to sell it, because at the end of the day, if I'm going to be making it harder for my home, the home in which I live, to keep this business running that's not running, that doesn't make much sense to me. So we'll see. Now, I will say this. I don't manage the property myself. I definitely pay a company to do that. I managed it in the beginning and it became too much, particularly because I don't live in the county that the property's in, and the tenant, my initial tenant, called for silly things. So I do have a property management company who handles everything and does everything, and essentially I just collect the check or send them a check for things that need to be done. I talked to my property manager today. We reduced the rate to the absolute lowest that I'm willing to go for the rental rate, and we're also going to offer half off of the first month's rent. So we'll see what happens. He's going to reach out to not necessarily previous applicants, but previous people that he's toured the property to, shown the property to, had conversations with, things like that. So we really haven't had that many applicants. We've had a couple and then things fell apart. I think I mentioned in a previous video that one of the applicants, she was coming here as a remote worker, but the particular area that my property's in was not approved by her job, and so that fell through. And then I think something else might have happened with another one. Oh, and then we did have someone who was very interested, or a family that was very interested last week. They were selling their property, and I think the closing date's mid-October, and I don't know where their property is, if they're coming from another state and coming here to start a new life but need to rent first. I don't know what the deal is, but they seemed pretty viable and things like that. But I think my property manager is going to follow up with them to see, kind of get a feel for where they are with things, and if my property is something that still is interesting to them or not. So we'll see what happens. Oh, I even had like a girl I used to work with that I haven't seen in years reach out to me about it, because I had posted it on Facebook, and she reached out to me about it. I sent her to my property manager and they conversed and stuff a little bit, but I don't know the details of that, and I didn't really want to get into that too much, because I really would prefer to keep myself out of the day-to-day operations of the property. That's the reason I pay somebody for that, so I'd really prefer to stay out of it. But I wonder where things went with that. So but I know my property manager's on it, and he said he's going to reach out to everybody, so I just have to be patient and see, because quite honestly, if we start going into the holidays and nobody's in it, I'm going to sell it. Now, something that was encouraging to me is I was talking to my daughter's piano teacher a few days ago, and she has a couple of properties, one of which is in a highly desirable area in Nashville, and she said that it was vacant from October of last year until February of this year. And she was surprised by it because of its location and things like that. It's in a desirable area, but it's not downtown, which is what a lot of people want, especially you know, people from out of state or just the younger crowd. They want to be right downtown. They don't have to commute into town. And so she was saying that what it would cost to be at her property where they have to commute is equivalent or close to what it costs to live in a studio downtown. And for a lot of people, that's much more attractive because everything's right there. But to me, that sounds crazy because she has a townhome and we're comparing it to a studio apartment downtown. I'll say this, I live in the suburbs, so my thinking's a little different. But you know, there's something for everybody, obviously. But I say all that to say that she said it was vacant for several months and, you know, they were shocked by that. So that is a little encouraging. My property's nowhere near Nashville though. We'll see what happens, but that's where things stand as of now. If you like the content that I'm offering to you, I want you to make sure that you hit the like button as well as the subscribe button so that when new content does post, you are one of the first people to see it. It also helps this channel grow, guys. I, of course, will be bringing you new content here very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. I love each and every one of you guys. Bye.